And a technical foul has been called. Sebelosia then shoves Anthony. That should be a technical foul.
But who's the initial tech on?
Don't know. Official called the tech and went inside.
Another scuffle in the NBA last night as Carmelo Anthony was ejected after he threw a jab at Thabo Sebelosia's face. At least it appeared that way. Do you guys think Melo threw a punch, Coach?
You just used two words there that I don't know what you were looking at. You said scuffle. You said jab. That was a
side jab?
No, it wasn't even a punch. It was a just get off me a little bit. When did we, and I guess probably the answer is 98, 99 probably. When did it become so soft in the NBA that this is worth a flagrant 2 and getting tossed out of a basketball game when a couple of guys just got tangled up and he didn't want him breathing that hot breath in his ear? That's all that was. I wouldn't have wanted Sebelosia in my ear either. But to say it was a jab, to say there was a scuffle, my goodness. Are there guys in Detroit from 1989 that are saying, what in the world is this? We would have been thrown out of every single game if this is a punch and this is a scuffle.
All right, well, I'm not going to get sucked into a debate that I don't want to have, one that's not on the table. That is whether or not this should be against the rules, whether or not this is soft, whether or not we've redefined punch. We're going to have the debate on what it is. Is that a punch? Was that a punch?
No, I just said that. A jab is a punch.
That's a punch.
It's not a punch.
That's a punch.
Okay. How is that a punch?
You're getting sucked into exactly what Carmelo wants. I'll tell you what we've fallen into is this world of lying to you. That was, let me see if I can get away with a punch without you thinking I threw a punch. He closes his fist, he swings his arm out, he aims for Sebelosia's head. You know what it was? It was a weak punch. It was a sneaky punch. He didn't lay him out. He didn't turn, honestly, and cold cock the guy. I'm not saying that would have been better, but I'm saying he did all the things he needed to do to have you come on TV and say, that's not a punch.
But let me educate you.
But by any definition, that was a punch. It just was a poor one.
Do you know why guys sometimes will ball up their fists when they're playing a sport, especially that has kind of loose jerseys and things of that nature, or a net sometimes? Do you know why they do that? They don't want to break a finger. They don't want to dislocate a finger. They don't want to be out for many days. So when I'm going in for a rebound, I used to do it all the time. Coaches teach you what? They teach you this. They teach you this. You don't go to box out or get in there and do this. Show me somebody who does that. I'll show you somebody that doesn't know how to rebound. And you check it. School record for many, many years when I was in college at my little school in Kansas.
Nothing about that video.
He was going in for a rebound. He had his fist balled up because he didn't want to get tangled up in anything, and he was too close, and he just said, get off me a little.
We can Zapruder film this thing and find out if his fist was balled up the entire time. But that being said, here's what should he get, okay? That's a different debate. Number one, it's a punch. And the NBA front office, the executive officers are going to look at that, and they're going to define it as
probably right about that.
Because it is one. He's just trying to hide it. Number two, should you be punished less for a weak or sneaky punch than if you just turn and are honest about your punch?
Yes.
You should be. See, you're rewarding the dishonesty. That's the thing. You're rewarding someone hiding their actions. I can't remember which football player it was, but they tweeted in the last 6 months, these basketball players are funny, man. What they think is a fight, what they think is standing up, what they think is a physical confrontation is funny. But it's because they're being rewarded for hiding it. They're being rewarded for making it like little kids fight. Like, I'm going to pretend like I'm not doing this, but I'm really trying to do this. I'm going to do this little half kick like Grayson Allen. I'm going to do this little half kick like Draymond Green when nobody's looking.
Well, I don't know why they
real
think,
confrontation.
I don't know why they
but
think
they're
that's
trying
the
to get away.
case, because I said this maybe Monday or Tuesday. You're on a basketball court. You're not on a 50-yard wide, 100-yard long football field. You're not going to get away with it. So I don't believe that Carmelo Anthony, who's been in the league for 13 or 14 years, was sitting there and saying, I'm going to try and get away with jabbing or punching Thabo Sebelosia. I don't think he believes that. Now, what I do believe, because you asked me the question, he should get, if I'm the NBA and I want to be fair, maybe one game. But I believe he'll probably get 2 because they like to go to the extreme to teach guys a lesson and prevent it from happening moving forward. We saw Draymond Green last year in the finals. And that cost the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion, an NBA title. You can't do this. I don't believe this was a punch, but you can't do it in today's NBA, whether it's right or whether it's wrong.
So you don't think it was a punch?
No.
But you think that he did do it intentionally? You think that it was accidental?
Absolutely. I don't
You
think
thought it was accidental?
I said he just got off him. I don't believe that he should be punished at all. But I'm saying in today's NBA, he will be. So that was the question Will posed to me. What should he get? And I'm saying at most 1 game if you're going to punish him at all.
See, I definitely think that was intentional because athletes understand, and you understand this because you were a wrestler and you were the leading rebounder, you just said?
In my college.
So you
I just
understand.
realized you're used to kind of slipping a few punches in the past. See if you can get one when nobody's looking.
But athletes
Making one look like something it isn't.
Yeah, we've been known to do that once or twice.
softball league.
Yeah.
But athletes have such great control over their bodies, better than anybody else on this world. And because of that, they understand every bit of where their leg, where their arms, where their head is moving.
Not a great Draymond. It's an involuntary movement, apparently, midair.
Wow.
Something nobody else on earth does.
Yeah, I definitely think this was.
Look, I'm with you in changing the NBA. If we want to go back and revisit it and make the rules where the NBA can be a more physical game, take it back to the 1980s, let the Detroit Pistons bad boys play the way they did again, I'm okay with that too. At least there's more honesty in the game. No one has to worry about getting a 1-game suspension on a weak punch. All I'm against is telling me what I see is not what I see. I'm against when somebody tells me that's not a catch, when I can see it's a catch. And I'm against somebody telling me that's not a punch when everyone can clearly see that's a punch. Just don't lie to me, no matter how much you smile. I don't like it. I didn't mean lied to. Smiles don't cover up lies.
Sometimes they do. It helps a little. But this is not a lie. We are having fun here. We want to have fun with you all on Twitter. So head on over to Twitter. Tweet us your best questions. It can be about sports, pop culture, anything. Use the hashtag FTFanTake and ask us, and we will actually coach and will answer the questions later in the show. All right, tomorrow, the wait for Ronda Rousey's return comes to an end. 13 months after the former dominant champion suffered the first loss of her MMA career to Holly Holm, arguably the biggest upset in UFC history. Tomorrow night, she returns to the octagon in UFC 207 as she will face UFC bantamweight champ Amanda Nunes in Las Vegas. Guys, how has Rousey handled the layoff, Coach?
I was on the air when she lost in Australia last November. I have never been as shocked in my entire professional career on the air as I was that particular night. I think the entire world was, because we're talking about a female who is, with all due respect to Serena Williams, the most famous female athlete in the world in the last 15 years. There are 3 faces in the UFC. Dana White, the president, Conor McGregor on the men's side, and Ronda Rousey. And how she's handled the loss, I think it's been awful. I think it showed not just flaws professionally, but some serious flaws personally. And I think Ramona Shelburne has done a great job of getting her to sit down and talk about those particular flaws. But I've never seen an athlete in my career, in my life, that their personal success is so tied and their self-worth is so tied to their professional success. All great athletes stumble at some point. With the exception of maybe Floyd Mayweather and a couple other fighters, every fighter loses at some point. To be out of the sport, to be out of the limelight, to not do interviews for 13 months, and then for Dana White to allow her for this particular fight because she's still so internally devastated to not do media, to me is a mistake by Dana White, but he runs it. That's not my call. I just know that right now she is all about tomorrow night. Now, there has been an Instagram photo that I saw yesterday. She is as cut as she's ever been. Her preparation is on point. But the question was, how has she handled it? And so many people have questioned her mental aptitude. They've questioned where she is with her heart as far as being a competitor is concerned. And I think that if she loses tomorrow night, it could be one of the most devastating blows to any athlete in the history of sport because of how she responded to that loss.
Well, one of the most devastating blows to any athlete in professional sport occurred to Ronda Rousey a year ago, to your point. I've never seen a defeat have that big an impact on somebody at the top of their game. As you say, failure's part of life. Losing's part of life. If you're not prepared to not only get knocked down, but more importantly, then get back up, you're not prepared to be champion. Very, very few walk through with an unblemished record. Here's the only question for Ronda Rousey. Her behavior now is clearly different than her behavior a year ago. Is that a sign of a lack of confidence or increased focus? Which one? We don't know because she's not letting us in. One of my favorite, there's this YouTube channel I watch from time to time. It's where I go for my deep, hard research. It's called
Oh, wow.
Charisma on Command. And this guy, he analyzes the way people speak, everyone from Donald Trump to Conor McGregor. And he talks about the way Conor McGregor conducted his press conferences, his interviews, before he lost to Nate Diaz, and the bravado and the eye contact and the continued belief, not just belief, but knowledge that he was going to win that fight carried Conor McGregor through. And then, when it didn't, when he lost to Nate Diaz, his demeanor was completely different. He held eye contact much less. His boasts were much smaller. His confidence seemed to be down. Now, he then came back and beat Nate Diaz. So the question is this. I think clearly, as you pointed out, Ramona Shelburne's reporting has showed us, Ronda Rousey's confidence has been knocked down many notches. Not just one or two, but many notches. Now, has she spent her time since then building that confidence back up and focusing on this fight? Or is she still in the place she was 10 months ago? I don't know the answer to that because we're not into her private life right now. She's not letting us in. Dana White's giving her this exemption.
Yep.
But we're going to find out on Friday night.
The difference between the two, and I'm glad you brought up Conor McGregor and his loss to Nick Diaz, and there's also a lot of dollar signs connected to these two fighters as well when they are successful. Because you can't have multiple losing streaks and then still get the $5, $10, $15 million a fight. But what Conor McGregor did do after that loss, when he then fought him in August, he still had some bravado. He still showed up to talk about how he was going to do what he did to Nate Diaz. But what he changed was, I now know what I did wrong. I now know how I have to change how I train for a 170-pound fighter. He learned, responded, successful, and now look at Conor McGregor. Look how he responded to the loss. Look at Ronda Rousey. We don't know what she's learned from that knockout. We don't know what she's changed other than she's in great shape. We don't know because she hasn't told us. She's told Ramona Shelburne how it affected her as a person, but we care about Ronda Rousey as the fighter. I care about watching her on pay-per-view tomorrow night because I've enjoyed how she goes about her business, and I enjoyed how she entertained me while she did. But if you're not going to talk to the media, and you're not going to show me that you have come back in a positive way, I think she's protecting herself. That if she loses tomorrow night, now there's no bravado, there's no talk. It's, well, I wasn't prepared or I wasn't ready, and she can go away and maybe never see her again professionally.
Yeah, I'm tempted to agree with you. I think she's protecting herself as well. It looks like focus, but many people can focus while the media is shining their light on them, including Ronda Rousey, who did that for fight after fight after fight before she lost to Holly Holm. She was capable of focusing and winning and dominating while all the attention was on her. Now, it seems to be a distraction. Now, it seems to be something that takes away. So I'm concerned that her confidence is way down.
I hope that she's watching right now because I will leave it with this. I have an 8-year-old daughter. Her name's Kayana. Beautiful young girl. And Ronda Rousey always has said how she takes that so seriously that young ladies, young girls can look at her and say, I can do that too in a world that was dominated by men. I would say go back to that thought process.
Yeah.
And to me, a little girl who's 8 years old is not looking at Ronda Rousey as a failure. They're just not. And if you focus on that, then maybe you can get back to being the Ronda Rousey that a lot of young girls look up to.
I think if I had to give her any advice, I would say that you're more than just a fighter. You're more than just a win or a loss, because once you start doing that as an athlete, that's where you get into some very dangerous ground. And it's obviously hard to bounce back from.